everyone, welcome to another episode of the Guile Treatment. Got somewhat, I guess, of like a bit of a news show today.
Yeah.
No guest, no PTCs. I guess we've had some premiere events, right, Chris?
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll start with like the news. We got the premiere store event from Rockford yesterday. I took it down with Reptile. Keyboard McRolly face. Tim Keefe asked if I took a shower afterwards because I should feel gross. Was playing Void. Beat Tyler Pease in finals. It's on the channel underneath the streams. He was playing Earth Jet with Shiten Tinketsu, using overhead heel crush into ISSP grapples for 28 damage throws. He nuked Ben Lambright on turn 2 twice with it. Sorry, Ben. We love you.
I'm just imagining Ben like, well, now I get to drive home.
We love you, Ben.
I was like, man, the 6 diff followed by a 5 difficult, like this action on a 5.
Yeah.
It stays in the card pool, slams a 4 diff on a 6, just to send it for a lot of damage.
Yeah. He just wanted to play the meme, and it worked out really well for him. So, but too bad the memes don't work against cards that, I get to discard his entire hand, so he doesn't get the meme ever. But it was good. It was a good tournament, good show up. We had 8 people, which is nice because we've been kind of low on numbers because people have had to work and the winter's been shitty in here. So it's just shitty. It fucking sucks. But some more news. We had a product leak of some sort. I got information from my store about 2 new tins. I asked Jasco about it. They asked me to keep it under wraps, which is fine. I play ball. We're sponsored. I play ball. But it got leaked by some other people online through their distributors as well. So.
Oh, I mean, honestly, like it was super easy to find. Anyway.
Oh, I know.
I mean, honestly, the one guy, like, I doubt that he has a distributor because he's like near me.
Okay.
And you said, he was just looking for
tins.
Basically going, oh, the Mega Man tins are rotating. Maybe I can get them for cheap.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Literally searched tins and just started scrolling down and was like, what's this?
Well, what they are is
like a publicly findable webpage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Eventually, I talked to Sean later and he's like, we were afraid that might have happened. Eventually they were going to get out, but it's a Ryu Ten and a Sea Viper Ten. It looks like it's just basically a Capcom starter pack. In a way, you get 3 Street Fighter, one Platinum, 1 Battle for Power, and 1 SF versus DS, and a special promo card, which we have no idea. It sounds like a foundation for the Sea Viper, or an action.
I mean, honestly, the art is probably what's on the tins.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume it's probably a foundation, or an action, in my opinion. And then,
it's interesting too because this is at the same time as they showed that Street Fighter promo, the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at that promo, it has promo set for the Street Fighter cards, and it's that one was number 2 out of 4.
Sure.
And maybe these special promo cards because these have Street Fighter characters on the tins.
Yeah.
And I believe the legality of that card is early April, and these 10, I believe that website says they come out early April.
Yeah, the first.
So I think those promos are going to be in that same set.
From what Sean told me was they were trying to keep it under wraps as long as possible because since they were coming out in April, the Ryu Ten was going to be given away at Worlds as special prize support for attending. So that may have to change now because the cat's out of the bag, but. It's not the first time we found stuff on the internet. Trent here in Rockford found all the Mortal Kombat box art by just Googling UFS Mortal Kombat. We found the Blood Omen pre-release kit art by just randomly searching UFS on Google. So I understand that sometimes that isn't their fault. I don't know how they can fix that. I'm not a computer guy, but I know if they have to have distributor file. Is it a distribution thing that they have to send it out early to the distributors? Yes. But now, is that a thing that the distributors are doing, that they're just putting these files out on the internet, or?
I think it's just a miscommunication. I think obviously Jasco has all these dates that they want to meet by, and they have to send all this information to printers and to publishers and to distributors. by certain dates for products to come out at specific dates. But Jasco to the public usually doesn't. They don't want to give like these final release dates until everything is finalized and cut in stone, because they don't want people to get upset with them, obviously.
Yeah, you know, like they don't want us to be mad when they release stuff 2 months late.
Yeah, but
Soul Calibur was not all their fault, but we'll see. Yeah, but yeah.
So I think this is one of those scenarios where they're like, everything's not finalized yet. Let's not make a big deal about it.
Sure.
We still want to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And then because that ball is rolling, distributors are going to treat it as if people already do know, because that's how every other card game works. You get this information and you post these pre-order things on your distribution page because people already know about it.
Yeah,
and I guess Jasco is just a little bit different in that sense. Because like you have to think that like even for the next set that they want to release this year, distributors already should know what that is. Because they have to be prepping for their website and prepping for their sales. So like, I guess it was just miscommunication, I think, to be honest.
But I don't know. So I guess we still have DLC whenever that's supposed to hit. So maybe someone will maybe find stuff out about that on the internet sometime in the next week or two.
I don't know about these tins. I mean, I guess we'll see how good like the exclusive cards are, because I don't really know a lot of people that are like lining up to buy Street Fighter
packs. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm getting them because I like to support the game, and I think the tins look cool, so I kind of want the collection aspect of it, because I have the other 4 tins. So,
do you know how many copies of the Mega Man and Proto Man tins I have?
I have no idea.
Probably
like
a lot.
Dozens.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, if
you are the Mega Man guy.
If there's like a promo attack in there that's like, let's say power level of Hyper Bomb, which was in the tins, and you weren't guaranteed one, and so you had to buy 10 so you could get a place.
And that was another thing too. Someone said, well, what if the single card's random? I'm going to assume that they're not going to, because like you get one of the promo card per tin. So it said it was either one covert intel or whatever, or one Shin Shoryuken. I'm going to assume they're split between the two. You know, it's like you get it if you buy the Sea Viper one, you get it if you buy the Ryu one. They're not going to flip flop, because it doesn't make any sense to do that. So, and
that's a very like Yu-Gi-Oh way to do it too. Is like there's a specific 10, it comes with these specific cards as well as the packs.
I actually think that it's a really good entry level like thing. It gets you like if it's like for $20.
I'm surprised that there aren't like even turbo decks in there. I mean, I understand that like the idea is it's a bunch of packs.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like it's just like, well, we need to get rid of these old packs that no one wants anymore because they're pre-bebop.
I know a lot of...
Except for Street Fighter vs. Dark
now, correct me if I'm wrong, does Yu-Gi-Oh! And like Magic, do they like do like bundle packs of like old sets and sell them in like Walmarts and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do. So like this, like I said, this 10 layout is very similar to like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon style type thing, where the 10 will have older sets. They're like they won't be the most recent set in standard or whatever. But the cards are still legal, obviously, which is the exact same thing they're doing here. And it's actually just like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, where they don't come with decks. They don't come with starter decks.
That's super.
They're just really supposed to be tins to hold cards. Like that's the selling point.
It's a collector's item.
They come with exclusive promos.
Sure.
And so like that's exactly what they look like. And it means that if you're a veteran player, you probably are just going to single out the promos and you don't really need the tins, especially if you've bought past tins.
Yeah. I know that Jason at Nats, I believe it was at National, said something about how they're trying to get into Walmarts and Targets and stuff like that. And this seems like this would be the way to do it, because it's kind of a flashy looking item. It's Street Fighter, so the license is actually pretty good. It's Street Fighter license on the outside, but there's also other Capcom properties. So, yeah.
I think the biggest problem with that is it says on the product that this is not playable unless you buy at least this turbo deck.
And if they don't have a turbo deck or a starter deck there at Walmart, people are going to just pass right by it. Unless they're like a hardcore game fan.
I think the price point might also drive some people away. I mean, I'm okay with spending whatever because it's card games, and if you're good enough at the game, you'll make your money back anyway.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing.
So the 10s, I believe their price point is $30. Is what they're supposed to be for retail. And if you're also supposed to have a turbo deck with it, and that's supposed to be another, what is it, 15 or 20? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like 15. Well, they don't even have like single deck turbos anymore. They're all turbo deck 2-player boxes.
The duo one.
Yeah,
25.
They're like $25. So you're already looking like a $50 investment just on those
entry point. That's an entry point.
Yeah.
Right? So like, and I guess that's still cheaper than a booster box, obviously, but like, it's still one of those things where it seems a little higher, right?
Well, my idea would be if it's like, because in most card gaming shops they do like a 3 for $10 deal or whatever. Most cards, I know the ones around here do like a 3 for $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So if it's like $20,
one I go to does as well.
If it's not 20, if it's like $20, $22, whatever, I think that's a decent price for 6 packs and an addition in a promo in a collector tin. It's not horrible.
But, I mean the tin costs money.
Yeah, the tin will cost money. Yes, I know. So, but moving on. So. Speaking of release dates, we finally got a release date for Soul Cal. If you guys watch the show, you already know that, so we won't spend too much long. So yay, release date, April 5th.
Okay.
So, which technically could lead us into our next topic of the night. So I need to cut in a Darth Sidious here, and he can be like, I will make it legal. So they made Soul Calibur legal the same weekend as Rochester PTT.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good or bad? You know? I know how they run their. I believe they say, and I don't know if it's even in the LGR tournament floor rules that if a new set breaks, it's legal street date, right?
That's what they said was like that was the rule. They basically said like if it had come out on time, it would have been legal in California, which I think was basically the same weekend because I think it was supposed to be like February 2nd or 7th.
Yeah, that's right. Because we were trying to prep for Chicago, thinking that we'd have Soul Calibur cards already. Right. So yeah.
So. Like, when you have something like that, I mean, I think part of this also is just the fact that it's coming out so close to Worlds. Like, the fact there's a tournament, it's like, cool, maybe some people will have it, like, play it, like, you'll start to get a view of, like, what people are looking at. You know, it just sort of gives, like, that extra time, like, any sort of, like, local events just to, like, play the cards, which, like, on that case is, like, that's fine. I feel like if it wasn't as close to a major where they just wanted like to have it played in events beforehand, I wouldn't love it, especially with the way that like the pre-releases are now. I mean, the thing is like also with Rochester being like, I mean, I guess it's sort of like a double-edged sword. The fact that like Rochester is the home of like Rochester CCG, like there will be no issue with getting product.
Yeah, everyone's going to buy their
venue
product
if you want it. I mean. If like that's the thing is, and you could probably talk to Sean and just like pre-order product and then show up and pick it up. I guess what it's the 5th is Friday. Right?
Yeah, it's a Friday.
And then PTC not till Saturday.
Right. But I mean, it's also the case where it's just like, well, what do? You know, like you kind of have to decide like what you're gonna do. It's like, are you going to try to build a deck that has new cards in it that you don't have yet? I mean, I guess if you have a pre-release, like, okay, maybe you can go,
you got
like, open some stuff, maybe get some extra product, try to trade for, like, the, you know, play set of ultra rares that you need for the deck that you want to play, like, the next week.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're, like, I mean, like, Scott and I, like, are not going to have a pre-release. Like, it's just not going to happen. So, if I want to build a deck that's using, like, ultra rares from the new set, then basically, like, I need to go get a bunch of stuff on Friday, try to, like, rip it open and see what I have. And the thing is like, I might get lucky. I might have, like, you know, 2 or 3 copies of, like, something. I mean, I might, if I'm super lucky, I'll just open everything I need and I'll be good.
Yeah.
But
that's the plan.
More likely,
that's always the
be
plan.
Like 2 or 3 of something. And then it's like, okay, well, can I get singles for this? Like, you know, it's the same sort of thing. Like, maybe I can get them in Rochester, but, like, you know, it's sort of like paying release date. So then you're just like, okay, do I want to spend like potentially $40 or $50 for like 2 cards just to play this deck tomorrow? Like that's a big ask, I feel.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like there's some people who might, or just, you know, if you know some of those guys are sort of affiliated with Rochester, and you know Sean's going to be opening like a ton of stuff just to stock singles and everything. So like. I would imagine that some of his guys like won't have trouble getting stuff. And yeah, it's just kind of like it very much has a feel of, you know, we'll see how it shakes out, but like it feels like it could very much be like a pay to win event, like more so than like other events. I mean, there's always like the deck where it's just like, you know, dude, that deck's like $500 worth of cards. Like, I can't build that. I don't have like a playset of Missile Launcher and a playset of this and like, you know, a playset of Fatality and whatever else. You know, like there's always decks that are like expensive.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like exacerbated just by like the ability to even get the cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even just like open. So I don't know.
Think you were gonna say something?
Love it.
I mean, I think it's good. I think it's only good for one main reason, which is other card games do this. Specifically, I come from Bushiroad Games. Bushiroad Games have notoriously done this. They have big regional events on Saturdays and Sundays, and they will release sets the Friday before, and it will be legal because it will also be available at the event. And I guess I've just always played every card game that I treat professionally or like competitively that you should already be prepping for it now, right? So like, if you want to go to the Rochester PTC, you should already be prepping with proxy decks if you're going to play these new cards. You might not. You might make the decision, but then you're already prepping not playing Darkstalkers 10 cards because they won't be legal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're at least not going to play with the new cards, you're not playing with the older ones. And so you can still find a deck that you're comfortable with and competitively that doesn't use the new cards if you're on a budget.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you're in it to win, like you're fighting for a $300 playing voucher. The game isn't free, and if you want to play competitively, you have to hit this level and this entry point of money, right? And I'm not saying that having a set release is how you make that easier, but it gives urgency to their sets. It gives purpose to go to a pre-release event, whereas before it was like, oh, well, I mean, the next event I'm going to is Worlds, and this set comes out 3 months before then. I guess I can just wait for all these prices to drop, right? Like, it gives a sense of urgency to where, like, it goes both ways. So, like, it gives urgency for sellers because there aren't a lot of UFS single sellers to begin with.
I mean, but so if I can cut in, yes, but it's also one of those things where it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to like overnight stuff to a hotel room?
You're right, and like that's where I see an issue, and especially I guess with the new pre-release policy as well, that it might become harder if you're not near a Premier store to get access to the cards a week early. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think it'd be different if this wasn't taking place at Rochester, exactly like you said. It might be a different conversation. And I think it would also be a different conversation if it was if it was actually very hard to get product there early. But like I really don't think it is because the policy on how card selling works in UFS is, from what I understand, the same as Magic the Gathering, which is during pre-release weekend, you can buy as many boxes as you would like, you can open as much as you would like, and you can sell as much as you would like.
Yep.
But as soon as Monday comes,
you can't sell shit.
It's dead air. It's
Yep.
dead air. You can't touch them. You can't send them. You can't do anything because the set is not out. Come next Friday, you can do all this the real way. And that's exactly how Magic does it too. And in that sense, if UFS sellers are more comfortable with doing pre-sales, which I already know Rochester does, I know Legendary Wolf does as well, for these pre-sales, you can place these orders, and you can have special questions. It was like, can you have this shipped to me priority? And you can do that. And that means on the pre-sale weekend, you can get the single shipped to you priority, which means you have time to go to these events. And so, like, it's not like the resources don't exist, but there is that money gate, exactly what you're talking about. But at the same time, like, I think this is really good for people that, like, believe that the best way to own and dominate a format is to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Like the people that are already building Sub-Zero Infinite decks, the people that are already building these incredibly aggressive Nightmare decks and talking about how powerful he's going to be. And you're right, maybe it's like, well, if Nightmare is going to be nuts at this event on day one, only the people with missile launchers or Kami-samas or whatever and you want to play under this character, or the people that can get a hold of his ultra rare and stuff like that, they're going to be the one that just win the tournament. Which then, the biggest downside on why I think this might be it is that stores then, like Rochester or Legendary Wolf, can hike up those prices if they know that it's something. And that's more so like taking advantage of people. But I don't think they'll do that because they've never done that, even with an event in close proximity.
That was my joke. I was like, if I'm Sean, every single card is $5 more expensive than it will be on my.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
And like that could be a thing. Maybe if he like runs out of product because there's a high demand for this card that people are coming to this event for. Like obviously that's how supply and demand works.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people asking about this card.
There's no like judgment on it.
No,
I understand it. It's just like
it's just do it, Sean. Just do it. Just do it. Just hike the price now. Just do it.
And so it's just but like I guess it's different for me, but like because I already have decks. Like everything's on Ultra. We've been given the full list.
Yeah.
The event is well over a month away.
Yeah.
You have time to prepare if you want to win this tournament.
You can even go in and say that people complain about they're worried about the new pre-release rules about Worlds because what now? Worlds is 2 months away, 2 months away, almost to the date.
It's my birthday weekend. Yeah.
And then it's like we have, proxied up, play it. And then if you want to play that deck at Worlds, you're going to spend the money to get the cards, You already know if the deck's going to work or not because you've been playing it for 2 months, It's like, and unless you're a person like me who won't lower himself to play with proxies, so who actually hurts himself in testing because he doesn't want to play with proxies because he doesn't like the way they shuffle. So it's just like, It's
That's fair. I just think it's a very bad professional prepping strategy.
I know. I don't.
Like, you don't go play a local with proxies. Like, obviously, don't do that. That disencourages new players to buy cards.
Oh, no, for sure.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're at home play testing with your buddies...
you can do it. Oh, yeah, no problem.
You should. You really should, because you don't have every card in the game. I think the more realistic thing that this will do is I think what people are going to do is they're going to build decks without... the new cards, but with the new characters. So, like, I'm so ready for an Aswell to top because they create this mill deck and they slap a good mill character on it and they just mill your opponent out. And so, like, I can see something like that happening because they're like, oh, well, Anacris isn't going to be legal. Well, here's my Aswell. We're just going to mill all these cards on the top of your deck. And they'll just win the whole event because they were playing with cards they already have and just slap a box topper on there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
I mean, because, like, for us, I mean, we'll probably leave, like, after work. So, I mean, I'm probably not even going to be getting to Rochester until, like, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Friday anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it's just sort of one of those things, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I'll just be playing no Soul Calibur cards in whatever deck that I take because it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Like, even if we get, like, some stuff to, like, split, I mean, that's just the thing. Is like, what am I going to be doing? Like, am I going to open it up at like, 9 or 10 o'clock, like the morning of, and just being like, well, hope I open those cards I was playing to build with. Like, it's not. I don't know. It's just not that reasonable to me. So
sure.
I think it's definitely more one of the things of like, this is the time where if no slamming on Kevin Broberg, but Kevin Broberg is a very smart UFS player. If Kevin Broberg already has this like diabolical Zhenghua deck built. And he's all like, I know exactly what I want. Sean, I'm going to pre-order these cards from you. I want these cards for my Zhenghua deck. And they show up, and nobody knows how to play around this character yet, and you just dominate the whole tournament.
Yeah, stuff like that could happen, too, where it's like people who have been testing and prepping for months know, like, well, it's different, like, playing live games than it is, like, playing... like test games in a way. Like PTC mentality is completely different from like locals mentality.
Yeah, so exactly. And at the same time though, like if you know that this deck is going to be big or some player is building some good deck around it, you should also be trying to build a deck, even if you're not going to play it, but to play test against it.
Correct.
And at the same time, I think what you're saying too, Rob, I think is a perfect strategy that a lot of people are going to do. It's not like Mortal Kombat characters are getting weaker. Akuma 2 Dot is not getting weaker. These characters are still going to be good, and these characters are still going to exist. Honestly, my opinion is I think Soul Calibur 6 is an incredibly good-looking set, but none of those characters scream kill you turn 2, hell, even turn 3. Some of them are like turn 4, turn 3, and there's characters before them that will smack you up on turn 2, and it's over. And it's like, so if people want to come in and they're not prepared to still defend themselves with these new characters against the older ones, then they're not going to win.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, the way I would approach it is like...
Play Cassie.
If I'd play Cassie, if I was going.
I mean, I'd probably be fine playing basically like commons and uncommons. Because, like, I feel like if I open like 2 or 3 boxes, like, I'll get whatever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's like if you're counting on like a playset of rares, or especially like a playset of like ultra rares, like I mean, I guess like you said, if you're that confident in it, like sure, pre-order it, pay your like you know, $50 to $80 or whatever it is for that card.
It's one of those things where like I already have friends that are like, this set looks so good, I'm gonna buy a case for myself. I'm like, listen, man. Normally, if I thought the set didn't look that good, I wouldn't think that was a good idea. But this set not only looks good, that all these cards will be relevant. There's great rares in this set, which is incredibly good for a set to retain its value. Which means your $580 investment for this pre-release case, like a case of cards, which means you're going to basically almost get a playset of almost every ultra rare. The math doesn't work out, obviously, so you won't get a playset of all.
It's very close.
But you'll get 2 to 3 copies of each one at least.
Unless you're Rob and you get all the Tijuana groceries.
Oh, that's true. Yes. But it's only a 109 card set compared to 180.
No, I think 8 boxes should net you if not the entire set. You'd be off by a few cards, unless like your distribution
you should
levels
have at least
are really,
one copy of every card.
correct.
Absolutely.
Maybe even 2, in my opinion. Just the way it goes.
And so it's just whether or not you get lucky and you get the one that you want for your deck. Like if you want to play Zasalamel and you don't pull 4 of his action, you're not going to play 4 of his action.
His action's really good.
But it's just like I've got friends that already want cases of the set because they know it's going to be good. And I think that's a good idea. And if you get a case, you'll be ready for this PTC, no doubt. Especially if you get it a pre-release.
On that note, I got one of my local players who usually doesn't buy a lot of product at release, but he's like, Soul Calibur was the game I played growing up. I'm buying a case. I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. Awesome. So, you know.
Of course, I'm calling it now. I think Sub-Zero will win that PTC because I think that you can definitely play that deck on day one. If you want to play the Infinite.
Oh, yeah, we haven't called that yet. So that's after the Atlanta. We got like 2 more PTCs to count. You're getting ahead of yourself, kid.
I don't know.
We still have Atlanta to deal with.
I'm already calling it. If nothing happens to this combo, I think Sub-Zero is winning the whole event.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because I think even a new player can show up. Because you don't need a bunch of new cards for that combo.
No, you really don't.
You need one.
Speaking of that,
I think it's going to win. I'm calling it.
That there's one new card you do need to make it easier, right? The one Zhang Hua card.
You have to have that to make it.
It's like a rare.
Oh, is it a rare? Oh,
he's talking about the one that's like the flip.
The flip, ready, get +3 speed or +3 damage thing. Yeah.
No, it's 2.
Oh,
it's a
oh no.
2 the block.
No. Don't go out. No. Okay, you're good.
I'm still here. I'm good. It was just slow. We're good.
We caught up. Got worried.
No, it's a 2/5 with a block foundation.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. All right.
It's gonna be fine.
So, speaking of like infinite combos and crazy interactions, we're talking about silver bullets.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so good, bad, indifferent. Should they exist? Should they not exist? The good people may want to know this. I don't like overall blanket silver bullets for like one thing. I think it's okay, but if like take like hand cannon where it just shits on like 80 different interactions, which is that's an exaggeration, but it just or like Dark Chirito just craps on like 1 million cards in the set and some for no apparent reason, just because of certain things. Like look at Faye, she gets crushed by that, and you can't even use any of her ability on that, right?
I think if we put this in 2 separate categories.
Go ahead.
So I've kind of had this discussion before with UFSU, but I think it's really easy, especially now with a bunch more of these kind of effects existing. Mm-hmm. We should separate them in 2 different categories.
Go ahead.
Silver bullets, things, not for the pun, but like bang or stop. These are cards that are specifically counters stop for character cards and bang for a problem card in your opponent's staging area. Usually the character, right?
The character, yes.
Those would be silver bullets. And then you have cards like Hand Cannon, Big Cyclone, Dark Chirito, which I put in a category that's coined from Yu-Gi-Oh! Called Floodgates.
Okay.
And what that means is it's cards, specifically because they have static abilities on them, that you can't interact with unless in a few scenarios, and they have such overpowering effects that your opponent physically can't play the mechanics of the card game. bang and stop can be countered with other counters. These other ones that we're talking about, once they enter where they have to go to work, there's almost nothing you can do about them.
Very true.
And so, because I have very different opinions about both of those.
Okay.
I think they are very different because in UFS there is this big difference between them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I guess I'd want to say with like the floodgate things, it depends how they enter the card pool. Like if your opponent attacks with the card, there are cards to interact with. Like Drain by Kiss, Mathematician can flip those cards, or there's ways you could do stuff about it. But if they enter in like
kick it from the card pool,
or if like if they block with it and you're able to short fuse it, that also can stop it. But you have to be playing those symbols obviously, and then the biggest one is the Graven Castle ruins enter, because you can't as long as you either use that enhance first or get rid of Graven Castle, there's really no way you can interact with that card. Correct? I think.
I mean, it depends on what it is, but
once it
enters in the card pool, you can't really do much about it.
I mean, I guess
cards are responsive, like on play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I'm a little bit in that case where I think it's sort of right. What's your definition? Like I'm sort of a little bit like even on the fence with like what you might term as like a silver bullet. I don't like those cards kind of in general. To me, it's kind of one of those things where it just sort of like, I don't know, there's sort of like a line between almost like a hate piece and then like a silver bullet where like something like a celestial being is just kind of like, it stops stun, it stops like committal. It also has like this other effect, like you just kind of run in, like, is it there to stop like stun and stuff? Yeah, but it's not something where like that's all it does. I mean, like something like a bang. I mean, I guess like you can do the extra 3 damage, but like that's something where you really just run this card because like you want to seal your opponent's character.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like a slot where to me it sort of like takes up your deck and like it's really not proactive at all. I mean, right. I guess it's like proactive in that. Oh, sure. Like, you can seal your opponent's character, but like, I don't know. They're sort of weird.
So where do you put Revoke then?
I mean,
look at him. He's speechless, people.
That's interesting.
Wow. Got him.
That's sort of like a weird card, I guess. I mean, you can build it.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, like, I played Revoke in like a 5-hander, and I was like perfectly happy to first form that on like turn 1 or 2 just to get it out of my hand because I didn't want to hold it. I mean, it's good to it's good to cancel like enhances. That's generally what you want to use it for. But like, it definitely has an ability that just says, "You want a foundation on like turn 1? Let's go."
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing with it right now is that because it has the evil symbol, and the evil symbol is incredibly strong as an aggressive as well as can be good defensive symbol. And so now, depending on what kind of evil deck you want to play, that Revoke has a distinct purpose in your deck, but it also doubles up as a like, oh, well, then it also just secures my game plan. But if I'm in an aggressive deck, it's also just a free foundation.
Yeah.
Because it does both, right? And I think Bang is in that same category. Yeah, it's in my deck, so I can seal my opponent's character defensively, so I don't die because I'm an aggressive deck. Or I can seal them on my turn because I want to kill them and their character is really defensive. Or it does more damage and redraws me a card. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing is, I don't think they're like inherently bad, but I think that they're like pushing it. Like to me, like cards like that are kind of just something where they feel like kind of that, like almost like that last step before what you sort of term as like a floodgate of just like, man, stuff's kind of out of hand. So like, it's okay though that this card exists. So like, at least there's an out. Like to me, like Bang being in Cowboy Bebop was just sort of one of those things where it's like, we know these characters are messed up, but at least you can seal them for a turn.
Yeah, very true.
Like,
But I was told, this was before my time, tell me if I'm wrong, I was told like one of the biggest problems with the hold on, what year is it? The problem with 2017 Worlds was that
No, wait. It doesn't matter. Just keep talking. I'll correct you.
Yeah.
The format of Worlds or Nationals where Red Horizon Blood Omen was not out yet, and all these characters were nutty, and there was nothing in the game that could deal with your opponent's character and have counterplay to that. And then
there was never
Worlds or at Nationals, they showed Stop as a card coming out, and they're like, "Oh, it's what everybody wanted," but it was too late because this format was already going nuts. I think this was like Kim format or.
Oh yeah, it's 2016. 2016
okay.
Nats, yeah.
And then when it came out, like it's like a big generic, what you would call like silver bullet, because it's like this card is just a counter character card, but
but nobody played it.
Nobody played it. And it was, because it existed, people were like, well, if characters are giving you that much trouble, just play Stop. What if Spike 2 died?
I also think a lot had to do with those symbols weren't very good at that point.
And that's fair. I think that was also part of it,
though.
You could all three of those symbols weren't very strong at that point in the game.
I mean, to some degree, like
good was not.
I think part of it was a lot of the characters that were like nutty just got banned.
Yeah, that's also true.
So like once it came out, it was just kind of like, okay, like what characters were like. So I did run Stop in the early iterations of my Zoe deck. And there were two things that I found. It was either I killed them fast enough that it didn't matter, or they were putting like enough speed on stuff that like, how am I ever going to block with it?
Yeah, that was another issue on it too.
Just like against like Turbo Man or something, if he's going in turn 2 and all of his moves get like +2 speed, and you're just like, okay, so I'm going to pass this on a 9? Like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to fail this. So I think that was part of it, is that and it's sort of funny that now it is seeing play. Like, it sort of took a while, and like eventually it's just like, all right, these characters are actually so nuts that like we need to run this.
Yeah, but like even though you have characters like Cassie Cage running around that gives a ton of speed, and they're like, you're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna keep doing this no matter what. Or you have characters like Akuma Duda that's gonna like your stop's got a +5 mid block on it. Actually, like one of those stuff like that. Or we abort the attack so you can't even use it. Mm-hmm. It's just like. But still, because these characters are so strong, you still play them. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things is that's an older Silver Bullet kind of or answer card that you want to put into your deck, and it's just so powerful that it's seeing play. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing is that when we talk about these versus like Floodgates, these cards are much easier to use because all you have to do is put them into your card pool, which means you can either just hard play them, you can block with them, you can use things like Insect Puppeteer with Hand Cannon. Or you can use things like Graven Castle Ruins. And so, like, when you compare these to, like, Floodgates, it becomes one of those things to where it's like, well, characters like Nightmare are going to be great because his response works. But then it's like you have the defensive player in the group goes like, well, just play fucking Hand Cannon, and it doesn't matter.
That was my answer.
You're like, you're right. I got to play a good deck with that card in it. Like, that's hard to do right now unless you're playing Jackie Briggs. Yeah. And then at the same time, I kind of feel the same sentiment with like J-Ray. It's really hard to play Jackie Briggs right now without Ageless and Wise, which means you don't get to play Life, which means you don't get to play Insect Puppeteer.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you have to block with it. And then if I remember, or no, that's not true. I couldn't remember if Nightmare beats Hand Cannon, but he doesn't. So like I forgot.
I mean, like, I guess the big thing, too, is... So, I guess it depends. It depends on if these cards... Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends if these cards' existence makes design kind of just like, oh, it's okay, like, people just have this, so it doesn't... Like, if they're further pushing power levels, like, then it's even worse. You know, if, like, the excuse of, oh, it doesn't matter if we do this because this card exists, like, that's... terrible.
Well, if we look at Soul Calibur, I don't think the power level is going up. I think it's actually staying the same.
Like, this is all theory.
I know it's all theory crafting. I know, but I'm just saying as the layman of the group, I'm saying where I'm coming from that perspective. Where
okay, but what's the next set?
Well, I'm saying it looks like it's just plateauing as a power level.
That's not new cards, Barry.
Yeah, I
know. There's 2 new cards.
So okay, my question is actually, Chris, is where did this come up? Did somebody just bring it
up?
What,
Silver Bullets? We were talking about it. We were actually talking about Nightmare and who's the other character that loops crap? Keelik. Stuff like that, and we were talking about why there was no Spike 2 in Chicago, and how people are afraid to play Spike 2 primarily just because hand cannon exists, and people aren't
true right now.
Well, I don't know now. What I'm saying, that's just the general thesis of it. I guess I'm trying to say is that you don't play Spike 2 nowadays because if you run into a hand cannon deck in top cuts, you're probably going to lose.
But there isn't. There's one hand cannon deck.
I understand that, though. But that's going to change come March 1st when the MRP characters come out and you can play Quan Chi off of life.
Okay.
And then you're also getting life characters out of the new set
that's true.
That could play hand cannon as a card. Because
are the MRP things legal in Atlanta?
Yes, they are.
You ready for Quan Chi to get banned again?
Issue is...
I think that's relevant specifically, but it's the thing is I think these first few PTCs have been no offense to your PTC, Chris. I just
thought it wasn't mine.
People are doing the easy way out, right? People are not abusing these forehanders that people are choosing to play, and they're actually just running amok. And where are the Jackie Briggs? I'm so confused because she's so good against all of those decks.
I know.
And nobody's playing her for no reason. And luckily, I'm still calling to it for the Atlanta PTC because we've already made our predictions. I know somebody who's playing Jackie Briggs, and my money is invested on him.
Yeah, because to go back on the group chat, because we actually had a long group chat in the Illinois group about why don't people just play more why are people so afraid of hand cannon that they just totally just forget about decks in general? And it was just weird because we're talking about Nightmare and Keelik, and it's just well, I guess you can try to fit hand cannon in as something, but then it's hand cannon only works once if you block, but if it's insect puppeteer, you have to have a way to deal with the puppeteer part of it first.
To be honest, I think part of that though is just I don't think that's a super realistic worry, to be honest.
Nah. There's ways to get around cards.
What deck has done well at all that's running Insect Puppeteer to loop hand cannon? And the answer is Anacaris.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And that's it. That's the only deck that as far as I know, has done anything.
Yeah. Well, I know that did we forget about Spike 1 off of life? He could also play it too, and he actually could be a defensive deck as well.
The anti-Spike, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, I know Mark Wisniewski played him at Chicago. He almost topped with it. I believe he was running water though.
Was he playing Spike 2 or Spike 1?
He was Spike 1, but he was water.
Okay,
he wasn't.
I thought you said Spike 2.
No, as well. I meant as well. So. But yeah, but I think the issue is that life isn't that great of a symbol, or it has good pieces. It just can't kill anybody outside of it.
The best life character got banned, and nobody wants to experiment with another life character.
Correct.
Because people thought because Quan Chi existed, Spike 1 was washed up.
Yeah.
And Spike 1 does have hard matchups against other decks. Spike 1 doesn't have a very good matchup against Akuma 2.
No, he's not.
And so, it's just we're playing Russian roulette at this point.
Well, you kind of get into a rock paper scissors thing, which is actually okay in a meta for the top tier decks. If you have a rock paper scissors thing, it's actually kind of healthy in my opinion.
No, I agree. I don't disagree with that. It's very Pokemon. Pokemon's meta is usually considered healthy because of that existing, no matter what, because they have the weakness and resistance stuff. But I think it's just one of those things too. This exact kind of conversation came up in the Legendary Wolf chat because we were talking about the Sub-Zero Infinite that everybody obviously knows about at this point, and we were sitting here being so is the Sub-Zero Infinite going to be actually a really big problem? Because you can list off a ton of counters to it, but the Sub-Zero deck is to play all of those silver bullets and the Infinite.
Well, he also has a silver bullet on his character card. He's just you don't get that piece.
Yeah. You just play it underwater, though, and you also get bang. Yep. You also get out of your league.
Yes, you do.
you also get access to foundations that protect your foundations. You also get access to foundations that get rid of other problem foundations.
Yep.
You get access to things like short fuse, so your opponent trying to block with a hand cannon doesn't work.
Yep.
Ophidiophobia with a coolant focus on one of your opponent's attacks doesn't work because you can seal it with freaking your character card or with Bang. Like, at what point is there not enough silver bullets, or at what point is these decks can use the silver bullets to abuse their own combos?
True.
And then the floodgates aren't good enough anymore.
I mean, here's the thing. The thing about I guess, like, you know, for like the floodgates. So, like, the first one to me, like, that sort of got like reprinted was the reprint of
Big Cyclone.
Big Cyclone, and the thing about that is, like, I went to the Indie PTC, and I think I ran like 2 or 3 of those, like, main, and because I was running Felicia, so I was like, it's a kick. If I have to play it, I'm like a 7. Whatever, I'll give it 3 speed. Yeah. If it's the second attack, instead of being on like an 8, it'll be on like a 6, because I can get my check +2. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, okay, that's like commit 1 foundation for like a 7/10. Sure, I did kill people with it. It was awesome. But the main thing is, I was like, it's a +1 high block, and it turns off Jet's pump. It makes Spike a blank character. It makes Faye a blank character. It makes Ed9 like a blank character, or maybe not, but it's just like if
you pawn him for 10 damage.
I think it's just one of those things. Like, if you use the ability, I just go cancel it. Here you go.
Yeah. Mad Pro, it stops it too, right?
Mad Pro, what?
Jet.
No, look, he can't pump his speed, right?
Correct.
But he can still damage reduce. But yeah, it's basically just like, I think it was like 1 or 2 characters that like weren't.
It hits A and K too, so like you hit every.
Yeah, like effectively like completely shut off by it. So I was just like, I'm just gonna like do this.
The only one you don't hit.
If I can block with it, great. And if not, like whatever. You know, it's just like I'm gonna be like a pain in the ass to get through because I'll just block with this. I think like Spike 2 was the one that it didn't hit, and I just got destroyed by Spike 2. So whatever.
Has that high block though, so you could have blocked something with it.
Does it hit vicious?
Yeah, it hits vicious too.
Damage.
He pumps damage.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Like
they all hit everybody. It's Bebop. They all pump damage.
And it still does. I mean, you know, like Goro pumps damage, like Reptile discards and pumps damage. Like
Cassie
there's
pumps
still
damage,
you know, a ton of characters that like all they do is pump stats. So if you can get one of these in your card pool, and like we saw it at Worlds with like the people that were running it and just running Graven Castle. To just like, I'll just cram it in my card pool and I don't even have to block with it now. Like as soon as I get one in my discard pile, like all I have to do is destroy a foundation and your character's blank.
That was basically
you have to do it and shove a card.
Right. Or you have to start destroying foundations and clogging your card pool so that I can't.
Because I played that deck at an indie. I played and I also ran I ran Big Cyclone in my deck. I think I ran it as like a 1 or a 2 of, but But I was playing Faye, so if I would have faced a deck like that, my character is blank, you know, and that's just rough because you know.
But so that's the thing though, is that to me, like the real sin of like a card like that, a card like Dark Chirito, is that it says like you can't play effects that do this.
Yeah.
If it just said like, you know, like if Big Cyclone just said like your opponent's attacks can't get like speed or damage bonuses.
Yeah.
Fine.
Kind of like how Siegfried says.
Is it annoying? Sure. But like I can still like in UFS there's so many effects that have like these like incidental things. So like, you know, if I block Metal Man with a Big Cyclone, like he can't pick up attacks anymore.
Yeah.
Because his thing that picks up attacks also says +2 damage.
Yep.
So he can't use it. Like
it's the same thing where it's just on Faye because
or Faye, right? Like she might be like, I just wanted to like pick up this, or I wanted to get a momentum, and it's just like, man, too bad.
Yeah.
Like whereas like something like Hand Cannon, sure, Faye can't get momentum, but she can still give something like plus damage or speed. Yeah. She can still give something like minus damage or speed because it like Hand Cannon doesn't say you can't play it; it just says stuff can't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because stuff won't happen versus you can't do it.
So would it have been better to word these like they worded Siegfried, where can I get a like they can't get a damage bonus, something like that. Like they can no longer receive damage bonuses, but they could still play the ability. They just can't receive damage bonuses.
I mean, it would like the thing is like I guess ideally there would be a way to like interact with them a bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's what it all comes back to, is like anytime that there's something that can be done that you just can't interact with, that like locks you out of doing something, like it's kind of a feels bad. And like even more so if it can just happen repeatedly, as it sort of can with like a Graven or like Insect Puppeteer.
Or Goro. By picking it up every turn.
Or a Goro.
Yeah, or a Goro.
But yeah, it's sort of one of those things where if it was just something where it's like, okay, like I can't pump attacks, like okay, but I can still like I guess the problem is there's so many things that it just completely shuts off that, you know, are something where like it's stopping something that has nothing to do with.
I think Barrett's previous employer said that it was 72 cards that Dark Chirito shuts off. I think that's what he said.
Sure I wasn't employed by them.
I know. I just like saying your previous employer. So your previous
like 72 or 78 or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's just insane.
What set?
All the entire. No.
Standard.
In standard, it shuts off.
That's it.
Yeah,
that seems low.
I know, but that's what Tam said. So yeah.
But that was for Dark Chirito.
That's Dark Chirito.
The list for Big Cyclone is much larger.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So because it has a larger list of effects.
Yep.
But like the hand cannon Shoryuken list is about the same size as that one. But it's just a lot of that list also involves character cards.
But the issue with Shoryuken though, it's an R, so you could technically cancel it. So it's not as feels bad.
Right.
Well, I guess you feel bad for playing Shoryuken then, because that card's really bad. So
Cassie can play it.
Hey man, it's a stun attack now, everyone. You know that. So
it is a stun attack.
Yeah,
that's true.
We're trying to convince Ben to put Cryptic Needle into Water Sub-Zero because he's like, it's not. It's like he needed a reversal, and I'm like,
I tried so hard to put Getaway Fire in Sub-Zero, but there's no water stun tech attacks.
Oh, that's too bad.
Except for
there's not a lot of good water tech attacks. Period.
There's not a good water stun
Jackie
attack.
Brick has
hand cannon.
The hand cannon.
Jackie Brick has them, but they don't have stun except for her 3-diff, which you don't want to deal with anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess like I definitely don't want to see a what do they call them? What are you guys calling them? The not silver bullet floodgate. I don't need to see one every set. We've seen them in almost we had one Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers. Then we had two back to back.
You had one in Platinum. You had one in MK. You have one in Street Fighter.
So we've had 3 in the last four-ish sets because Platinum.
Cowboy Bebop didn't have one.
No, Cowboy Bebop did not have one.
I don't think so.
But still, though, that's a lot for. That's all. I would expect those to be few and far between, not set after set after set after set. So. And
the thing is too is like some of them are across different symbols.
Cowboy Bebop just had like all the cards that some of these are now like a reaction to.
Yes,
like
very true.
The reason why we see Spike 2, like
it's one of those things too. It's like it's just really also weird that like Graven Castle Ruins has good in Earth, and then Big Cyclone has good in Earth.
Dark Chirito also has good in
Dark
Earth.
Chirito has good in Earth. So like they cross over too much, and it's just like maybe you're giving a little too much for these symbols, and other symbols might need some of these.
You mean the jet symbols? Because they're not really the good fire and earth. They're just called jet symbols. So
jet symbols.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, did you didn't. I was gonna say you didn't play like the end of versus like in the last set, which was admittedly like a disaster.
You mean
they introduced cards that
wow.
had like static effects while they were removed from the game, and
remember the Exiles cards?
There was literally no way to do anything about them.
Was that the shifted cards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was one card. It was like a 2-drop Caliban, and effectively it said pay 2 resource points for the rest of the game. Your opponent can't draw cards to do their effects. That would what? Like, what is that? And I mean, right? Obviously, like these aren't that bad. I mean, these aren't like for the rest of eternity. Like, give them the bird. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, they're rough. And I mean, hand cannon. It might be like, I mean, I guess like that thing is like hand cannon is just like it's not a great attack on its own. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, are you running this as a block? Like, if you can manage to run like, puppets, sure. Like, that might be cool, but how many decks are doing that? One?
Yeah.
Maybe you can find like a second one if you really work at it. And then even like Big Cyclone, it's kind of one of those things like, okay, like, yeah, if you're like using it to Graven or whatever, it's like, it's a 2-check, it's a 7 diff, it's 4-speed mid. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, like, this is kind of like, realistically, like, this is like block only, or if you run like Graven, like, it's sort of like a recursion thing. The biggest difference between those and like Dark Chirito is like Dark Chirito is a 3-check. It kills people, and like it protects its kill because of what its static is. Like, a Dark Chirito is easily the worst of all of them.
No, I agree.
And it's just kind of like I guess that's to me is like, when does this stop? Like,
it should.
Can
I don't
we just
think
stop having cards like this?
I don't think we should have any more like this anymore. We have one. We have one that hits speed, which is Cyclone. We have one that hits damage, which is Cyclone. And we have damage negation, which is Chirito, and card pool clearing, and then hand cannon does the same thing. So we've already hit like every major stat group and an abusable pile. So what's next? You can't leave your staging area. So like,
I think it gets a little worse when, or like your opponent can't draw cards, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it gets worse maybe if they are not attacks anymore and they become things like action cards.
Yeah.
And which makes it to where instead of
even better.
So the check's better, but it means you can't target it with Graven Castle. But action cards are usually notoriously easier to get in your card pool, whether it's an enhance that it just adds itself to the card pool.
But the issue is with like an enhance or a response, those can be negated. So it's
but if you negate, but if it doesn't leave the card pool, doesn't it just stay?
Oh, you mean it has a static on it like that?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
okay.
Like,
that would be the
other
issue.
Possibility for something like this.
Yeah.
Is like, what about like Firestorm, where it was like R after this is played, like, like a foundations can't be destroyed for the rest of the game or for the rest of the turn.
Yeah.
But then it was like, or your opponent can just like pay 4 endurance to cancel this.
Yeah.
So maybe these things should just have like R's on, like
it
should just
like
be something
cost.
where it's like after it's played, and like your opponent can jump through some hoop to just be like, nah.
Yeah.
Like that's I think again, like that's just the killer of all of these is like, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I can like seal these with like the Lilith attack that like seals blocks, or which again is Earth only or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like, okay, another thing for Earth that half these cards are already. Or like, okay, I can short fuse it if they off zone block it. It's like, okay, well, what if they full block it? Well,
you're kind of host, yeah.
Like, yeah, and like, there just aren't that many ways to like deal with it. I mean, there's like nothing that. I mean, what kicks stuff out of the card pool?
Taki.
Showdown.
If
it's an action.
Against an action, Showdown style, Satan kicks it, yes. But Taki will clear cards out of it.
Wait, what? No, that's only if it's an action.
Yeah, it's only
exactly. That's what I'm saying. If they did what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was waiting to say Showdown for like 5 minutes. You don't know. You don't understand this.
You can't use whatever it's called on Cyclone, Sagaki, because it pumps damage while it kicks.
Yeah.
Like that's the messed up part. It's just like, what's the cost? Like, kick that card. Okay, well, what would it do? Well, it's gonna pump damage and speed. Well, you can't play that because that's in the card pool. And it's like, okay, like, and maybe that's it. Maybe there's like more cards that like flip stuff or kick stuff from a card pool, but I don't know. Like, that sort of just then keeps on going.
Like, I ran 2 copies of Drained by Kiss in my Reptile sideboard just because of fighting against a Dark Chirito deck. Because I was planning on face tanking most highs and lows because it's Reptile. So,
yeah, I mean, like that's fine. Like that's a perfectly like reasonable card to run. I mean, Mathematician before it.
Mathematician before it, correct.
But I guess like that's what it comes down to is like, okay, but
But if they block with it, I'm
many
screwed.
decks
So,
can sort of just be like, well, I got this like 4x like on symbol that I can do.
Yeah.
Also, that like, what does that do for you if like you? I guess what Reptiles like has different things, right? Some of it's DR and some of it's pump.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't really matter if they block something with Dark Chirito like at all.
Yeah. So. I know, but if they but the issue is if they if they block it, it's not that big of a deal. It was more of them playing it on me, so I can't use my DR, and that was the main reason. So
right, but that's because reptile stuff is separate.
Correct.
Like imagine if reptiles thing was just
like Faye.
Your mid attack gets this, and like the next one gets like this, and the next high. Like if it was all just one ability,
if it was one all like Faye,
well then it would be a lot more obnoxious.
Yeah, it would be very obnoxious. Yes. So. All right, so we good about talking about these things. I think we're pretty much almost on an hour. So
they're bad.
They're bad.
They're bad.
They just feel bad.
So we were gonna do a card of the week, but I kind of want to do one. We weren't, but I kind of want to do one anyways. I like Barrett's idea from last week's show that we forgot. He was gonna say something about Stolen Sword because
I want to be Stolen Sword.
The next set is gonna have tons of weapons and weapon foundations too. And that was the big kicker.
I mean, that's the important.
That was the kicker.
It doesn't matter if it's weapon attacks.
Yeah, was weapon foundations was the big kicker. I haven't looked on Ultra to see how many weapon foundations we're gaining, but I know it's
also share a symbol.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, he's counting. So I knew he would be doing that. So
7 new ones that share a symbol with Stolen Sword.
How many? 7?
7.
That's better than what we had.
Foundation.
That's better than what we had. So.
But you got like 3 Yoshimitsu, 3 Mitsurugi, and what's the other one?
And 1 Ivy.
Oh, okay. All right, that's better than what we had. So it's way better than what.
Yeah.
So
you still have the old ones. You have kinetic energy under fire, which is not good. No. But suspended sword can see play.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna rotate.
You're right. It's gonna rotate.
Hidden behind flames is a weapon. And
I mean some of the Swordman stuff, and then a bunch of the
Nightman stuff.
Nightman stuff, which is on order, which I don't think any of the new stuff is.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so the biggest contender here is going to be Mitsurugi, just because it is a weapon and he does still synergize with weapon cards.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily really matter in him, but it's just also one of those things where if you want to choose to play Flame Sword, which I was also going to do as card of the way, just because people were talking about it. I think I picked a card that would like bring hype to these new stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the biggest thing about this card is that Yoshimitsu's going to love it because it's a weapon card, and when you check it, he can 2, so it's a 7.
Yeah, it's a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Check, which is good because he himself only has 3 foundations that are weapons, and so this gives you a fourth one, and it lets you play those foundations in the middle of your turn on a 5-hander that draws more cards. So if you draw into these foundations, it has a purpose.
Yeah.
You can just intermittently like play one, play the other, like bring it down, play your next attack, bring it down. Yeah. I mean, one of the things too is, it can help you get around like Breaker.
Yeah.
Like you can just float it and not even use it. You get, and like you don't even have to show the foundation you're gonna play. Like you can just be like, here's my next attack, it's coming for you. And you Breaker blocked. Well, I'll just play this foundation, bring it down.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I think the one big thing of note, which I was super excited to do and then realized it didn't work, was the original Mechanical Ninja, which has like the R like card pool after you play it, like your next check, blah blah blah, whatever. The issue with like Stolen Sword is it basically says you play it, it comes down. So that happens before the R window even opens, so you can't play an R card pool from your staging area.
Oh, you can't? Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Does that have a plus to check on? Doesn't one of his cards give plus to check when played?
That's what I'm talking about.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. It's R card pool. After you play this card, your next check to play a weapon card.
Yeah.
It's +2.
Every time I look at that dude, every time I look at the Yoshimitsu's cards, they look so much fun. Like they look like he's gonna be a lot of fun to play as a fighter.
I think he's gonna be a lot of fun as well, and that's why I brought this card up, because I think it's a fun card.
Yeah.
And, the card's still not bad. Like you can block with it, you can loop them with each other. Because if you block with it, the static says your opponent has to commit a card in their staging area, which is the order ability on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other cool thing about Stolen Sword is that enhanced reveal a weapon. You can show what you're gonna block with that foundation, and it does still move. As long as it's a weapon card, obviously. And the cool thing is that now we're getting a bunch more cards. Across Yoshimitsu's support, you get a mid and low coverage for your foundations. Under Mitsurugi, you get every single zone.
Oh.
And so then your block can move.
Mm-hmm.
And his foundations have a lot better effects in the staging area.
I don't know if you get blocks down.
Why not?
It says the next time you play a weapon foundation, And like that.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't work on blocks.
That might not.
Right.
So like because it says play, it might not work with blocking.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be because it doesn't say foundation card.
Yeah, if you said foundation card, you
because you're playing it as a block, not as a foundation.
Yeah.
So okay, you're right.
Like the thing is, like, I don't know that for sure. Yeah.
That was just an extra perk. I think it's still gonna be really good.
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna see that and Flame Sword. Those are gonna come back for sure. People are gonna try to do the That was the big issue with Flame Sword to begin with, because you wanted to discard a foundation and not an attack to draw 2 cards.
Right.
And that was the big issue with it, but. Because Flame Sword itself is a great card. It's a 4 for 4 with stun 1. And it has a block on it.
Flame Sword is that not only includes the new foundations, it also includes every single new asset. If any new assets that share a symbol with Flame Sword as well, you can play them, and it's the discard mechanic for it. So like that's the other perk about Flame Sword. But we're talking about
I know. I wanted to bring up some Flame Sword fun too, because that card's fun too. That card's great because you can combo with a foundation, so you can go foundation then Flame Sword if you wanted to, as long as it has weapon. So. Yeah, because
it was just a fun one and just something to like get people hyped up for the next set.
Oh yeah.
It's an older one, so some people might not have it. It is a very cheap card.
Oh, definitely.
I believe it's an uncommon. So if you think that sounds fun, like you really should pick them up. So
that'll be around. Or you could get the new tins, right? Maybe you'll get them out of your Battlefield Power Packs.
Yeah, that's fine. You can get the new tins too, I guess. I don't know. So. But, all right, so that'll be, I think, pretty much it for the episode this week, I think, because we have nothing else going on. So, next week, I think we're going to pick some characters outside of the 3 Soul Calibur characters, outside the 3 we all previewed. I know Barrett didn't get in on that because Tim Keefe took his spot while Barrett was working and driving.
I'm on move now.
And he's moved.
Now I just need internet instead of mooching off of my girlfriend's internet.
But, so we'll each pick a character. We'll review their stuff. I don't know if we're gonna do a full set review because full set reviews kind of are boring in a way. They take forever. And if we did a character by character thing, I don't know. Maybe we'll do the 3 character thing one more time after this. I don't know. Whatever. So it all depends on what the people want.
And then you've done the whole set.
Then we've done the whole set. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But it's easier to watch it in like increments than to sit there and watch like a 6-hour or 4-hour.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot easier to edit too. So that's the important thing. It's the editing, man. But yeah, so let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Let Barrett know what you're going to do for his birthday weekend at Worlds. I'm going to go hang out by a pool.
I'm going to watch Avengers Endgame. What are you talking about?
I'm going to go see it in Vegas with Church and everybody. So we're gonna maybe pour one out for you, bud. So we'll do that. But yeah, so we're also thinking about doing some commentary for the Rochester PTC. I mean, I'm going to probably just hop on with Barrett while Rob's there scrubbing it up. So,
scrubbing it up with my no Soul Calibur cards.
There you go. So that's some stuff in the future. And then we have Atlanta PTC, and that's pretty much it coming up. So
is Atlanta PTC is that weekend before? Or that's Turbo World. That's Turbo World.
Turbo World is the end of March.
Wait, isn't there? There's another. What's the other PTC in March?
It's California. No, it's not.
Right, Santa Clara, right?
No, I thought was Santa Clara. Yeah, it was. It was Santa Clara.
Wait, is Atlanta this weekend?
No, it's the 9th of March. It goes Atlanta, Santa Clara, then Turbo Worlds at the end of the month.
Then Rochester.
And then Rochester. So we have a bunch of events lined up. So a bunch of events lined up leading into WrestleMania season, which is our world. So it's WrestleMania season. So if you want to say that. So I don't know. It's WrestleMania season in WWE right now. So it's the weekend of Rochester PTC. So, but yeah. So thanks again. Glad we could have you on, Barrett, because we missed you. So
it's my spot. I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, it's your spot in the corner, right down there. That's your spot. That's Rob's spot.
Yeah, right.
That's Rob's spot. So I usually get the big box, but maybe next time I'll rotate someone in so I don't get the big box. So, but anywho. All right, so again, have a good night. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell everyone how you're doing. Take care of each other. We love you all. Bye.
Thanks.